Two paths lie before you. One is familiar, safe, predictable. The other is uncertain, demanding, costly. And Jesus stands beside you and says, "Follow me." Not just when the road is easy, not just when the destination is clear, but when the path leads through sacrifice, through surrender, through the cross. Because somewhere along the way, we began to believe that following Jesus should be comfortable. But what if discipleship was never meant to be comfortable? What if it was meant to transform us? Every journey begins with a moment of clarity, a whisper that nudges the heart towards something greater, a quiet invitation to step beyond the familiar, beyond comfort, beyond what the world calls safe. Perhaps you felt it. Those moments when your heart stirs for something deeper, a sense that God is calling you towards a life that requires courage. This is more than a story. It's an invitation to live with faith, to walk with purpose, and to follow Jesus beyond the limits of comfort. Welcome to Beyond Belief, the place where we explore not just what it means to believe, but what it truly means to follow. Today, we step into Matthew 16, verse 21 to 28, a moment where Jesus completely redefines discipleship. Take a moment, breathe. Think of a time when you sense God calling you beyond comfort. A quiet whisper in your heart, a nudge towards something unknown. Can you feel it again? That stirring, that invitation. Have you ever made plans for your life, only to watch those plans unravel? You had a roadmap, a vision, a clear idea of where everything was heading. And then suddenly, everything changed. Peter knew that feeling. He believed Jesus was the Messiah, the promised King, the one who would restore Israel and usher in victory. The future looked glorious. But then, Jesus said something that shattered Peter's expectations. "The Son of Man must suffer many things, be killed, and on the third day be raised." And just like that, the roadmap changed. But here's the surprising part. Jesus didn't apologize for the difficult road ahead. Instead, he invited them to walk with him. And the question that echoes through time is this: are we willing to follow Jesus, even when the path looks nothing like we expected? Welcome, friends, to Beyond Belief. This is a space where faith meets real life, where curiosity meets courage, where we discover that following Jesus isn't about playing it safe. It's about stepping into a life shaped by purpose. Today, we are exploring the true cost of discipleship, the courage it takes to follow Jesus, and the transformation that happens when we say yes, even when the path is uncertain. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and let's walk this journey together. Not long ago, I faced a decision that shook me, career-wise, life-wise. I had two choices: stay where it felt predictable, or step into the unknown. And let me tell you, the unknown did not come with GPS. No clear direction, just a deep sense that God was asking something of me. I remember lying awake at night thinking, surely God wants me safe, right? Safe choices, stable plans, minimal risk. But the more I prayed, the more something began to shift in my heart. Maybe safety wasn't the goal. Maybe transformation was. Maybe God wasn't asking me to protect my life. Maybe He was asking me to surrender it. And suddenly, Peter's story felt very familiar. Because Peter had had a moment too. The moment when following Jesus suddenly looked far more costly than expected. Think about your own life. Maybe God is asking something difficult of you right now. Maybe it's a relationship that challenges your patience, a calling that feels overwhelming, a dream that seems impossible, or even the quiet daily struggle of choosing faith where fear whispers louder. We've all had moments where following God feels harder than expected. Moments when we think, this isn't what I signed up for. Peter said that, and if we're honest, so have we. But here's the truth many of us eventually discover. Following Jesus isn't about avoiding the hard things. It's about discovering the strength God places inside us through them. Think about Moses, called to lead a nation while doubting his voice. Jonah, called to preach and running in fear. Ordinary people, extraordinary callings. Because God does not call the fearless. He calls the willing. Picture the moment. Dust rises along the road as Jesus walks with his disciples. Jerusalem lies ahead. Peter feels hopeful. For months he has seen miracles, blind eyes opening, crowds gathering, hope rising. This must be the moment the kingdom arrives. But then Jesus stops walking. He turns to them and says something unexpected. The Son of Man must suffer many things, be rejected, and killed. Silence falls. Peter's heart pounds. This cannot be the plan. Not suffering, not death. So Peter steps forward and says words that many of us would say. Never, Lord. And then Jesus replies with words that shake the moment. Get behind me, Satan. Because Peter was thinking like a man, but Jesus was revealing the heart of God. And then Jesus says something that changes everything. Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves, take up their cross, and follow me. In that moment, Jesus redefined victory. Not comfort, not applause, but surrender. The cross looks like loss. It feels like surrender, but it leads to resurrection. Imagine standing on a mountain path. The wind howls, dark clouds gather above. Behind you lies the life you know. Comfort, security, familiar ground. Ahead of you, the path disappears into fog. Every instinct says, turn back, stay safe. But then you see him, Jesus, standing further down the path, not forcing, not rushing, simply waiting. And his voice carries through the wind. Follow me. You take one step, then another. The storm doesn't disappear, but suddenly you realize something. You're not walking alone, and the cross you feared carrying shaping you into someone stronger than you ever imagined. Because discipleship was never about avoiding storms. It was about discovering who we become while walking through them. Jesus says, "Whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will find it." The world says, "Hold on." Jesus says, "Let go." The world says, "Protect yourself." Jesus says, "Surrender." And suddenly the question we asked at the beginning returns. What if the greatest obstacle to following Jesus is not unbelief, but comfort? Because discipleship isn't about preserving our lives. It's about discovering the life God created us to live. Comfort fades, fear lies, but purpose lasts forever. So what does this mean for you today? Where is God asking you to choose courage over comfort? Maybe the step feels small. Maybe it feels terrifying. But every journey of discipleship begins in the same way. One step, one act of trust, one moment of surrender. Identify one area where God is asking courage over comfort. Take one intentional step this week. Write your fears down and surrender them to God in prayer. Your cross is not your curse. It is your calling. Your struggles are not setbacks. They are the tools God uses to shape your story. Because discipleship isn't about living an easy life. It's about living a meaningful one. May you walk boldly knowing God walks beside you. May your heart remain brave when the road grows difficult. May your faith grow stronger than your fears. May every cross you carry become the story of transformation. And may you discover that every step of surrender leads to deeper life with Him. Thank you for joining me on Beyond Belief. Until next time, keep walking boldly, keep living courageously, and keep believing beyond what you see. God bless.